Welcome to your chordal guitar lesson of the week. Today let's talk about an essential concept to use if you want to vary the chords all over the fretboard and not always rely on the same chord shapes over and over again. And it's inversions, inverting your chords. I will never talk enough about that because it goes a long way. So let's say that you are in the situation where you have written a melody for one of your songs and now you want to find the chords that are going to go underneath. You have many different options to harmonize a melody, right? Like I showed you on one of my videos where I took the same melody and harmonized it in 4 different set of chords in 4 different moods. So you have many choices. So you start experimenting, playing some chords to find the right ones. But most of the times when we write a melody, we have a strong internal feeling of what the harmony should be underneath the melody. Even if we haven't found the chords yet, we have a strong internal feeling about it. But what can happen is that when you find the chords that you want to go underneath, sometimes the chord progression that it results in, let's say it is not well crafted yet, okay? So this is exactly what happened in my Ambient Sketch number 83 from a few days ago. So I have written a very simple melody and the only chords that felt right to me were E major and B minor. Of course, I could have chosen a lot of other chords. I could have chosen F sharp minor, C sharp minor, A major, but the only chords that felt right to me were E major and B minor. But if my chord progression is E, B minor, E, B minor, E, B minor, it's a bit uninspiring, right? It doesn't develop into something. It's just one chord, you go to the next and you fall back on the same again and again. So what we can do to add more movement and interest into that chord progression of E, B minor, etc. is to add inversions of those chords. So I can keep the harmony that I envisioned in my head, but still have more something happening with my harmony, right? So let's study the chord progression of my Ambient Sketch number 83. The first chord I use is the regular E major chord, right? The first one that you learn in open position. But the next one, instead of using my regular B minor, the one barred from the 5th fret, you know this one, right? I will invert it. So if I look at a B minor chord, we have 3 different notes only. We have B, we have D, and we have F sharp. So these are the 3 notes that make a B minor chord. So when we invert a chord, it only means that we are going to play a different bass note under it. So B minor, the bass note of this chord is B. This is the note that is written in the name of the chord. So B minor has a B bass note. So now I could choose either a D or a F sharp bass note to replace my bass note, which is on my index finger, to make an inversion of that chord. So this is the easiest way to do it. So I could play the same chord here, but just replace my index with a, let's say, a D note. Let's go to the next note. So the closest place for a D note is on the 5th fret of the 5th string. So I can keep the same notes here of my B minor chord, but just play it with my pinky and refret the notes. So this chord shape here is a B minor chord. It's just from a different bass note, right? It is wrong to call this chord a D chord. It doesn't sound the same as this one, right? It sounds similar, but in fact, it is truly a B minor chord just with a bass of D, right? But I could do it from F sharp too, so I could come back from my shape of B minor and just find the F sharp note and replace my bass. So it happens that it's just 1 string below on the 6th string, 2nd fret. This is my F sharp note. So I will just play the shape of my B minor, but with the F sharp instead. And this is a B minor. So when we write the chords and inversions, we are going to use a slash. So in that case, this is going to be a B minor slash D. In that case, this is going to be a B minor slash F sharp. If you want to learn more about slash chords, you can watch my whole lesson on it. So this is what I did on my ambient sketch. I started with this one, and then I took the first inversion, and then the second inversion. And I could go back on my E major chord, but instead I want more movement, so I transitioned into that shape. So this is an E minor chord, just in a very different position and inverted. So this one starts from a G sharp note. And if you have trouble to visualize what that chord shape is, let me just show you a trick. So I am playing right now a C major chord in open position. Right? This is one of the first chords that you learn on guitar, right? Let me refret the chord. So right now I am using my fingers 3, 2, 1, but instead I'm going to use my fingers 4, 3, 2. And the index finger is free to bar the fret 0. It doesn't make sense, right? Because you do not have to bar the fret 0. This is just open strings. But if I slide my chord 1 fret higher, I have the same exact shape that I showed you. But let me slide it a few times, and this is the chord, the inverted E major chord. The root of that chord is always on your pinky. So the pinky here is on the 7th fret of the 5th string, which is an E note. So we know that this chord is an E. It's just inverted on its first note, G sharp, right? And then on the next chord, I just played a regular B minor. So if I play back the chord progression that I used, this is like this. Here I put a little B minor 7 just for a passing note, and then I come back here. So it's more interesting to go like than just going from E to B minor, E, B minor, E, B minor in the same shapes over and over again. It adds more movement, and if you notice, the bass line goes like E, D, F sharp, G sharp, B. So the bass line is a lot more interesting than just, it sounds like country music or something, just the same 2 notes. So there are many benefits to invert your chords all over the fretboard like this when you have harmony that you really want to have, but it's a bit repetitive and it's a bit uninspiring and not crafted enough. Alright, that's it for this lesson. If you are new on my channel, you should pick up my free mini course. This is the first link in the description box. This is a 4-part video series about ambient guitar chords. You can download the chord charts and exercises. I have many different chord progressions and templates of chord progressions that you can use and practice to get better at playing ambient guitar chords. So click on the first link in the description box and sign up for my free course on my website, Ambient Guitar Academy. Thank you very much for watching my lesson, and until next time, au revoir.